it all fall.
Greetings, viewers, and Ida here, bringing you some of my Foxy thoughts about HBOMax's new show, Velma, titled after and starring the Scooby-Doo character Velma Dinkley. It was created by Charlie Grandy, although Mindy Kaling, who voices Velma, is the most recognizable name attached to the show. The series begins with the discovery of a murdered girl, and Velma, deciding the police are too incompetent, and she's not entirely wrong. The two detectives working on the case admit they're the worst on their force. Takes it on herself to solve the mystery. However, whenever Velma attempts to solve a mystery, she suffers horrifying hallucinations that often cause her to have a near fatal panic attack. Now, this sounds like an interesting premise. It certainly has a lot of potential. There's just one problem. It's terribly written. Rather than try to be engaging, the show seems to care way more about meta-commentary.
Discussion topic of the day. Have you ever noticed how pilot episodes of TV shows always have more gratuitous sex and nudity than the rest of the series?
Oh my god, I have.
So true. That's how we learned what Rachel Brosnahan's boobs look like.
And Don Cheadle's butt.
Well, I for one think it's lame.
Agree. So lame.
The lamest.
By the way, these girls are all 15.
Just admit, we are all secretly perverts.
Well, the writing staff apparently are. But hey, there are tons of videos on this show by now. What could I, a small name nobody, possibly have to say about it? Well, I guess I could just take a screenshot of the show and slap woke on it, like some clickbait content farmer. But I like to think I'm better than that. Let's address the elephant in the room. I don't care that 3 of the 4 main characters are race swapped. I didn't even know that Daphne was Asian in this. As long as the characters are well written, you could pull a Doug and go for a world where everyone's a different color. Unfortunately, almost everyone in this show is written to be nearly as unlikable as possible. Daphne's the alpha bitch of the school, Fred's a sexist, racist man-child, and Velma... well, I want to say she appears to be based on the cynical Velma from Mystery Incorporated, only a lot less endearingly sarcastic and a lot more blatantly bitchy.
The aliens need my brain! They're gonna steal my brain!
Must not be very complicated plans.
Ever since your mother disappeared, you haven't even tried to hang out with the normal kids at Spooner's Malt Shop.
Maybe I'd hang out there more if you hadn't knocked up a Spooner's waitress while your actual wife is still missing.
Velma, that's not fair. I'm not just a waitress, I'm also...
A basic bitch who doesn't even know how to use hashtags?
As the main character, you have to make Velma at least a little bit likable, and I'm sorry, but she isn't, due to how often she insults others and puts them down, seemingly to make up for her own inadequacies, and the fact that her mom disappeared on Christmas Eve doesn't really make her sympathetic to me.
Wow, after hearing that, I not only feel emotionally hooked, I understand the stakes of your journey, Velma.
This is blatantly telling me why I should like Velma when I should come to that conclusion about whether or not I care about her on my own. I'm not going to say you couldn't make Scooby-Doo characters unlikable. The Venture Brothers had the Groovy Gang, which was a parody of the Scooby Gang, with the Fred parody being based on Ted Bundy, and the Velma parody being a man-hating extremist lesbian. Then there's Shaggy, although he's called Norval in this, and he has 2 main personality traits, being a huge simp for Velma and...
I think it has something to do with drugs, which I hate.
In the original, Shaggy just used hipster lingo, and the whole Shaggy's a stoner thing was made up by the fandom. Not like Hanna-Barbera didn't do the whole Shaggy and drugs joke decades earlier.
I've seen this before. Profiling. 2 young men in a van. Inappropriate laughter. So let's have it.
Like have what?
The truth. When you're ready to rap, when you're really ready to get real, you've got my number.
I know the way it looks, Mr. Birdman, but that's just the way they are.
So you mean to tell me they weren't high?
Nope, they're just stupid.
You may be wondering, where's Scooby-Doo? Not here, that's for sure. Yeah, Mindy said that Scooby is what made his show a kid's show. She was obviously unaware of Scooby Apocalypse and the episode of Supernatural, which had Scooby characters in it.
If there are ghosts, that means there's an afterlife! Heaven! Hell! Am I going to hell?
I can assume Mindy also thought Shaggy was too kiddie a name to be on her show, and you get lines like this in the 2nd episode.
All our classmates are idiots or sheep, so let's assume they're high.
Man, if I ever even think about getting into 420 culture, or especially 420 related humor, kill me. You know what 420 is, right?
Yeah. It's code for adults who still watch cartoons.
Great way to alienate your potential audience, guys. Just say any adult that still likes animation are losers. Like, I'm not even offended. I kind of expected a streaming platform that asked all the other animated shows to have this sort of attitude. But this just leaves me questioning, who is this show aimed at? It's also real funny that this claims to be a mature program when the second episode keeps making jokes about how Fred's got a small dick. And I mean, they really want to remind you that Fred's got a sausage cocktail down there. Can't imagine why, except to just emasculate the guy. Dick jokes can be funny, but it really depends on the delivery and the punchline. And I feel like this show really only succeeds at it once.
You didn't mention Fred had a tiny dong.
Oh, yeah. Real baby carrot. And I'm gonna ride it all the way to victory.
Huh?
Just saying Fred's got a wee wang over and over in of itself is not humorous. And if Sock Boom can do a better dick joke than something aimed at a mature audience, you know you got problems.
Is this a towel?
What am I supposed to cover with that? Are you making fun of me?
On the subject of Scooby, though, some weeks back I saw a screenshot of a girl with Shaggy flying around claiming that this was Scooby. Didn't buy it for even a second. Yeah, this girl is part of Daphne's clique, but all the channels that were looking to bash the show certainly ran with the idea of this leak was a human Scooby. Content farming channels spreading false information without bothering to look into whether or not what they're saying is true? I never would have imagined. Yeah, if you've got a video on your channel saying that this is the human Scooby, I advise taking it down and saving yourself the humiliation. Speaking of humiliation, the second episode of this show just really loves to dunk on Fred for no other reason than the sin of being a privileged white male. Yeah, he's a dick, but the episode just really loves to show just how pathetic he truly is in private to contradict with his public image at school. For a show where you're not supposed to judge characters by their race, this show really loves to do just that with Fred. And I can only assume that that's because A, he's an easy target, and B, possibly trying to piss off the white male audience. Again, I'm not offended, just annoyed that they went after such obviously low-hanging fruit like that. Towards the end of the first episode, Fred is accused of being the murderer, and right after he's arrested, another murder victim is found in the trash bins outside his house. The second episode has the plot of Velma's lawyer father tries to get Fred to play up his immaturity and pass it off as him lacking the ability to commit murder. Even though children have been tried and convicted for murder, so that's not gonna work. Velma is convinced to clear Fred's name, but then humiliates him publicly, and this causes him to snap out, decide to be seen as a man, admitting he totally could kill the girls if he wanted to. You know, you just could have ended it with Fred being laughed at, but the writers decided to have him snap because being seen as a killer would also mean he's a man, which would get his father's approval, I guess. Really, the only good thing about episode 2 is we get Frank Welker as Frey's dad, and Frank can make almost any role he's given work. Comedy-wise, this show seems to have looked at Family Guy and its dozens of clones, and decided that mean and cynical equals funny. Velma is prone to just put people down, or make some sort of meta or social commentary that isn't really funny or thought-provoking. It comes off less like natural dialogue and more like stuff you'd hear on Twitter.
According to TV, it's morally okay to deal drugs if your life is just kinda crappy. Like, your kid's sick, you're a widow with a mortgage, you have to live on a lake in Missouri.
Those are all white people, Daphne. Minorities on TV can only deal drugs to escape poverty. Wait, that's it. This is about you trying to run with your fancy rich crowd.
Yup, that must be it. Because the brilliant Velma Dinkley knows everything about everyone and isn't afraid to say it.
Exactly. I spit truth without a filter, like every comedian before #MeToo.
No one talks like this offline. Someone on Twitter challenged me on this and said that The Amazing World of Gumball also has unnatural dialogue, but I think we can agree that this is a comparison not even worth entertaining, right? Then there's the meta-humor. Very often, characters will attempt to make jokes out stereotypes or tropes, mostly at the expense of races or calling the murder victim a slut because funny. And then they'll come up with some tropes that I'm pretty sure they just made up. The whole thing just comes off like the show thinks it's smarter than it actually is. I remember as a child, my first exposure to meta humor was The Muppet Show, and I think it still succeeds where this show fails.
It's a puppet.
Oh, well, see,
It's a doll.
Yeah,
It's made to look
it's a doll.
alive by wiggling strings,
Yeah, strings.
or putting your hand inside of it.
hands, like that.
What a stupid idea. Who wants to watch dolls wiggle?
Well,
To be fair, there are some lines that at least got me to smirk.
What?
I'm bored.
I need a favor. I need you to get me my mom's cold case file.
Why would I do that? We're not friends anymore. We're nemesises.
Nemesis.
That's why.
I mean, the world sees Fred Jones, teen sociopath. So instead, let's show them Fred Jones, innocent little boy. It can't miss, right? Please say it can't miss.
If you really want to get swole, try Zoinks. You'll be bouncing them big old man boobs faster than you can say, who is this for?
Yeah, we like the sound of that. What'll it cost?
Not much, just your dad's love when you blow at your knee and lose your scholarship.
But these are few and far between. Okay, I think I've been negative enough. Time for things I actually think are good about the show. There's some dialogue between Norval and Velma that does actually almost make me like the title character of the show.
But have you given any thought to all the other ways you could die trying to solve a mystery? Crushed by a revolving bookcase? Attacked by bats? Falling off a fence?
Stop, I'll be fine.
Velma, did you fall?
No, I'm cool and graceful like a swan.
Okay, because it really sounded like you fell.
And I wish there was more writing like that. The art style and animation of this show is actually quite pleasant. All the characters having rather fluid movements. Some people have said they don't really like the character designs when I don't consider them all that bad. I honestly think Be Cool Scooby-Doo was way worse, looking like an off-brand Seth MacFarlane cartoon. I also really like the shading and shadowed locations. There are also the hallucinations Velma gets whenever she's trying to solve a mystery or thinks she's stumbled onto one. The visuals just become really disturbing and I get the feeling like something supernatural is trying to attack Velma. Shame the show has her come out for panic attacks by having her laugh at Norval's confession of love to her in the first episode, and Daphne kissing her so the show can try to appeal to people who like same-sex couples. Yeah, this show hasn't earned what Limity has earned. I don't hate Velma, but I also wouldn't recommend hate watching it or watching it just to poke fun at it. Not that it really matters, because it seems like there's already a season 2 in the works. And all this tweet says to me is that Minnie doesn't care whether people hate or like her show, so long as they watch it. Can't decide whether or not this is a better or worse attitude to have than claim that everyone who dislikes her show is a white supremacist. Could the show improve? I won't know, because I have no reason to watch it beyond the first 2 episodes. But if it turns out that Daphne's the killer, I honestly can't say I'll be surprised. This is Night Eye saying thanks for letting me share my thoughts. Please share yours with me.